this is really good news. But do you have any more information about the red line we saw before?
Yes, so there was an information of one of the pressure readings of the main stage of the launcher that was a bit unusual. So of course we decided to stop and to check and to check that everything was okay. There were some additional tests performed, and the tests were okay. So we decided to continue.
So here we hear the DDO. He's about to confirm the synchronized sequence. We're at 7 minutes.
That's right.
It's not. He hasn't said anything, but he sounds like he's about to. This is very exciting, David.
Yes, he should announce shortly the restart at H0 minus 7 minutes. That's right.
We did see the panel was completely green,
That's
which is
correct.
such good news. We don't want to risk a second red, that's for sure.
So apparently they have resolved the issue. So it was not in the ground supporting equipments. There was some issue with the measurement regarding the cryo tanks. So finally they have resolved that issue, or maybe a faulty sensor or something. They have resolved it, and we are go for the launch.
Green with the glasses and his mask, of course. Director of Operations in Kourou.
The liftoff is planned.
We're waiting for him to restart the launch synchronization at minus 7 minutes.
Le nouvel âge de revisée est 2h10 TU.
And yes, we just got the confirmation right now. He just announced the H0 minus 7 minutes, and therefore the launch time will be...
at what time?
Will be at 4:10 here in Paris, meaning 2:10 Universal Time.
So now we see the countdown has started. We are at 6 minutes, 26 seconds. So this is a very, very important moment, David. The Ariane 5 is about to launch. Can you explain to us why this moment is so important, this synchronized sequence? Sorry, it's very late here.
Yes, the synchronized sequence is indeed a very important moment in this countdown. This is when we perform all the last operations prior to launch, and including the pressurization of the tanks, the closing of some of the valves, the switching on of some elements, and again in a few minutes the control of the operations will be handed over to the launcher, to its computer, and it will control the end of the operations before liftoff, including the ignition of the engines.
So now we can see on the right-hand side of the screen, the panel is still green. What are we waiting for now?
Again, this is just the last operations that are done automatically, both by the ground systems and by the launcher to check that all the parameters are okay.
So everything is controlled from the Jupiter Control Center, which we see up on the screen. They're all there. They all look very serious, where all the operators are very focused on the job at hand. How would you describe the atmosphere, David, in the control room at this stage of the operations?
Okay, so we are go for the launch. We are in final 5 minutes. Everything is green. We had some issue with the cryo tanks, which they have resolved. Everything is looking great, and we are go for the launch. And guys, again telling you, this is the final launch before JWST launches. So let's hope, fingers crossed, that this launch is fully successful.
Which enables them to experience this launch live. Who are these people?
Yes, so we have some general public who is invited to attend the launch, and then of course all the launcher authorities from SES, Arianespace, and of course our customers.
So what I didn't say earlier was the Jupiter room was inaugurated in 1996 during Ariane's 82nd launch. But that's not the only building. Another important one is the CDL number 3, which is partially shielded and is located 2.5 kilometers from the launcher. And this is, in fact, where we found where the red button came from because somebody had sounded it from there. Is that not right? Can you talk to us about the CDL building?
Yes, you're right. The operations are monitored from this launch control center, the CDL3, which is, yes, a bunker located just a couple of kilometers from the launcher. And in this building, we have the operational, the engineering, and the quality teams that are monitoring all the parameters. And yes, this is where any event can be detected.
So thank God for the CDL center, because otherwise we wouldn't have known about that tonight. So what I want to ask you next is, so when you were on mission and you're working over there in Kourou, where do you work from? Is it from the CDL building or from the Jupiter Control Center? Can you talk to us about that?
Yes, I've been several times working there in the CDL3, so in the launch control center, in where as part of the engineering support team. So following all the activities, all the launcher integration campaigns, and then following the chronology and supporting for the management of anything that may come up.
The rocket is heating
And recently,
up.
on the years that you've been working for Arianespace, have you experienced a red day?
Well, there is always a possibility, mainly on the weather, to have a red light at some point. But no, I must say that the missions I have worked on have been quite smooth.
So we are now at 1 minute 54, 1 minute 54 seconds from the launch. And then obviously the DDO will be launching the countdown again. How do you feel? How does one feel?
And we can
being in
see,
that
guys,
fish
this
bowl?
is happening. We can see people going outside to see the launch. And T-minus 1 minute and 30 seconds remaining. So Mark, there was some problems with the cryo tanks previously. They were having some odd readings, so they resolved it, and now we are go for the launch. T-minus seconds.
Into this moment and concentration, just waiting for the launch.
À tous de DDO.
So now the
Attention, pour moins
DDO
d'une minute.
is saying that in now 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, he's now going to give us
H0
the
moins une
top.
minute.
T-minus 1
Liftoff.
minute, guys.
We are now only a few seconds away from liftoff, which we have all been eagerly awaiting for since the beginning of the program. David, anything else you'd like to add? Any last encouraging words?
Yes, go Ariane 5.
Well, farewell to the launcher 5115. Let's now admire these incredible images. We'll, of course, stop our live commentary to sit back and enjoy the 111th launch of Ariane 5.
T-minus 20 seconds, guys. This is happening. T-minus 20, 19, 18, 17, 16, 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10.
9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2,
Ignition.
1, top. Allumage moteur Vulcain.
Full thrust. And lift
Allumage des deux
off.
EAP et décollage VA255, SES et SYRACUSE 4A.
One of the best launches that I have seen.
Well, the Ariane 5 launcher has just successfully completed its liftoff, but the mission is not over yet, is it, David? Other equally important steps are still to come. These include the separation of the two satellites on board, Syracuse 4A and SES 17, which should reach their geostationary position in about 30 minutes. Is that correct, David? I'm so happy.
Yes, that's right. That's right.
David, you are also connected with Kourou via an earpiece, where the CVI transmits all the information concerning the evolution of the emission. What is the CVI and how does it work?
Yes, I have a direct link with the CVI team, a team located in Kourou who receives the real-time
animations are like one of the best, which you can see also here.
And right now they confirm that all the parameters are as expected. These parameters include the altitude, the velocity, the engine parameters.
So at 2 minutes, 19 seconds from liftoff, the CVI should announce, am I right, the separation of the boosters? Is that the first thing?
Yes, that's right.
How important is this step for the mission, David?
Yes, in a few seconds, the booster separation should take place. The launcher will have gone through the most stressful part of the launch.
Stressful.
Yes, in terms of mechanical loads, dynamic pressure, and the booster separation will be at around 65 kilometers and traveling at the speed of Mach 6.5. So it should come up in just a few seconds.
So a few seconds.
Whoa.
3 seconds.
Those animation.
Yes, we have the confirmation
Brilliant.
of the separation, yes.
Okay. So this stage is the first of many. And in a few seconds, Ariane will be at an altitude of 110 kilometers, and the DDO will then be announcing the separation of the fairing. What can you tell us about this particular stage, David?
Yeah, so at 110 kilometer altitude, the atmosphere has become really thin. Only a few air particles remain. So at this point, the fairing, which is there to protect the satellites from the atmosphere, the heat and the sound at liftoff, and during the ascent, is no longer needed. So it is jettisoned to save weight. So this again should happen in just about 10 seconds.
This is an important moment as well. Well, every stage is important, every phase. We're just waiting now. A couple of seconds for the separation of the fairing. V18, there we go.
Confirmed.
Séparation de la coiffe.
We just have seen it. We've seen it on the screen.
And
so
we have the confirmation from the DDO.
Brilliant.
As well.
So by separating from its fairing, Ariane 5 will now be approximately 2 tons lighter, which is a significant weight in flight.
La trajectoire est nominale.
SES-17, one of the 2 satellites launched tonight, had a launch mass of more than 6 tons, and it is one of the 10 heaviest telecommunication satellites launched by Arainespace since its creation. Am I correct, David?
Yes, that's right, yes.
So at this stage of the launch, we have a launcher that weighs what and is traveling at what speed? We can see it up on the screen, I think. Can you tell us?
Well, in terms of mass, the launcher was about 780 tons at liftoff. Right now, we have only about 149 tons left. And the speed, as you can see, yes, it's about 2.7 kilometers per second, which is about a third of what we need to reach. At the end of the flight, we will be about 9.3 kilometers per second.
So now up on, we've got Ariane 5 up there. Can you talk to us about the images we're seeing up here?
La propulsion est nominale.
Yes, so you have the launcher as it is right now with the main stage, and then on top the upper stage and the 2 satellites on the right-hand side. And on the right you see, yes, the different parameters, the altitude of the launcher, and then the ground track with the trajectory that it will follow.
So as you can see, the trajectory is looking nominal right now. So I think the rocket is also performing nominal. The thing which we have to see is the upper stage, because there have been some modification in the upper stage.
Fairing size, and that will help to launch any 2 large communication satellites. And also we will have a reignitable upper stage, which will also allow to deploy satellites in different orbits.
So, David, in our previous program, Road to Space, we gave you an update on the new heavy launch vehicle Ariane 6 and the state-of-the-art custom-built launch pad that was being prepared to receive the new launcher. Well, unbelievably, it was inaugurated a few weeks ago in Kourou. And we now have a video coming up, a report we've done with our teams, and we'd like you to take a look. This is coming up in the next 15 seconds. Next Tech. Have you been to the new launch pad?
Yes, it's indeed quite amazing, yes.
It's coming up now. Next Tech.
Acquisition de la télémesure par la station de Natal.
Okay.
100,000 cubic meters of concrete, 900,000 cubic meters of earthwork, 8,000 cubic meters of structural steel. Some 600 people worked on the site of what is Guiana Space Centre's 9th new launch complex, which was inaugurated on the 28th of September.
Particulièrement heureux de célébrer aujourd'hui avec vous l'inauguration de ce magnifique pas de tir.
Built by the CNES and its industrial partners in French Guiana, the Ella 4 pad will welcome Europe's upcoming Ariane 6 rocket. Ella 4 is made up of the launch pad, which is the base that supports the launcher itself, all structures and equipment necessary for final assembly operations, the launch table that is embedded in it, the mobile gantry and the umbilical mast. The new CSG launch pad is what you'd call state-of-the-art. Central to its design, two important objectives: to reduce launch costs, achieved by integrating the launcher horizontally, and automating operations. The second objective was the environmental aspect: archaeological excavations, a wildlife inventory, and to cede 1,336 hectares of land to the Conservatoire du Littoral to offset constructions. As for infrastructures, the LF4 complex will significantly minimize the use of air conditioning and therefore energy consumption during operations. We will, of course, come back to you to talk about this 9th launch zone, which will shortly welcome Ariane 6. But for the moment, let's continue to follow the progression of Ariane 5 on its 111th mission. The DDO, Head of Operations in Kourou, has just announced the acquisition of the natal station. David, you have been our expert throughout this program in Road to Space since the beginning of the mission.
So everything is looking great. This rocket is Ariane 5 and still the first stage is attached. So this is a thing which we have to see.
In the last seconds of its job, the main engine will shut down in a few seconds, and the stage will be separated, and after that there will be the ignition of the upper stage engine. So it should come up in a few seconds. And
the shutdown must be now. The upper stage.
There we go.
There we go.
Yeah.
Extinction moteur Vulcain.
DDO is just telling us that.
Yes, we have.
Séparation de l'étage principal cryotechnique.
We have the confirmation of the separation, and we have the confirmation
Allumage de l'étage et du
as
moteur
well of the
HF7
ignition of the upper stage engine.
So what does that all mean?
We have
Well,
the ignition.
it means that everything is going as expected. It's good news.
So that one in that video was the Ariane 6, which is their new upcoming rocket. Once that is, in its own glory, which means when that is in operation, the Ariane 5 will retire. So Ariane 6 is coming up next. So we will have to look out for that too.
So
and this is like
so we don't see the launch
time where there's some modifications in the upper stage. So let's hope this time everything goes as per the plan.
Tracked both from the Gallia station, which is right next to the launch site, and from the Natal station in Brazil. But yes, the visibility from the Gallia station should be lost in a few seconds.
So sorry, can you just take us through those steps again? What will be happening next? We're at now 10 minutes 11 after the launch.
Yes. So
we're tracking on the map. If we see on the map
right now,
on the right,
we can see on the map that we are north of Brazil.
we're before the loss of natal, which is
Yes.
La propulsion est nominale et le
And
pilotage est calme.
we see that the launcher is basically flying horizontally. It's increasing its speed.
going towards
It's
the
maybe,
east.
it's even going down a little bit to gain some speed. And it's going across the Atlantic at very quickly at 7.2 kilometers per second.
We're now 1 minute away from the loss of natal.
Yes.
What does that mean? What does that mean for Ariane 5?
Well, it means that, yes, in a few seconds, we should be too far to be visible from the tracking station in Natal in Brazil. So we will have a short period during which the launcher will not be tracked by the ground stations. But this is not a problem because the launcher has like a hard drive where it can store the data, and then it will download it when we reach the following tracking station, which is in the Ascension Island in the middle of the Atlantic.
So, for example, will the DDO be telling us all of this at 11:53 in 10 seconds' time? Is he the person who...
Yes, he should be telling that to us. Of course, these are the theoretical times. Sometimes the tracking is better than expected, meaning that we may not lose it at the time that is expected. We can lose it a bit later on.
I'm just being told in my earpiece that in a couple of seconds we will be seeing that launch. Here we go. I think we're going to be seeing
La trajectoire est nominale.
No. He's just announcing exactly what you said. But as you see, on the left-hand side of our screen is the launch. Can we go through it again?
Right.
Can you talk us through it?
Yes, we saw there the ignition of the Vulcan engine. This engine was checked right after its ignition, and once everything was checked to be normal, then the ignition of the boosters took place. Once the boosters are ignited, there is nothing that can hold the launcher down. So it lifted off with a large thrust, more than 1,500 tons, mainly from the boosters.
In about 20 minutes, Ariane 5 will place the two satellites SES-17 and SYRACUSE 4 into geostationary orbit. It's been a long journey from the clean rooms of Thales Arainespace in Cannes. Well, we went to meet Kevin and Patrice on the Thales site. They both worked on the design and construction of these technological gems. Let's hear what they have to say. This is today's space work, a report for Road to Space, which is coming up now.
J'ai 32 ans et je suis responsable satellite en IT et je suis chez Thales Arainespace depuis 2016.
Je m'appelle Patrice, j'ai 52 ans, je travaille chez Thales Arainespace depuis 28 ans et j'occupe actuellement le poste d'architecte satellite.
C'est croisé en Guyane, mais voilà, on n'a pas vraiment... C'est l'une des premières fois où on a discuté ensemble.
Je travaille avec son alter ego, mais sur Syracuse, mais pas en direct avec toi.
Exactement, ouais. Responsable satellite en AIT, on est responsable du satellite dans la phase finale. On termine d'assembler les derniers morceaux, on intègre les derniers éléments et on teste le satellite pour vérifier qu'il fonctionne bien. Et tout ça, ça se passe en salle blanche dans une zone du bâtiment qui est plus propre qu'à l'ordinaire pour protéger le satellite de poussière, etc. On essaye de s'imaginer tout ce que le satellite va traverser. On va faire vibrer le satellite exactement comme il vibre dans le lanceur. Après, il va être dans l'espace, il va y avoir des grosses contraintes de température. Donc du coup, on va faire pareil.
J'interviens surtout vraiment dans toute la phase de vie du satellite. Architecte, bon, on peut faire le parallèle comme une maison. La maison, c'est le satellite. Donc mon métier consiste à animer, coordonner une équipe d'ingénieurs qui sont chacun spécialisés dans des domaines bien différents. Donc on va démarrer dès la phase de conception du satellite. On va donc le designer.
Oui, puisque en fait, quand vous avez fait les plans et justifié que la maison elle tient, après nous on la construit. Voilà. En gros, c'est ça.
Et après, ça va être l'assemblage, l'intégration de tous ces éléments. Et donc moi, je vais te spécifier les tests, les misères que je vais faire subir au satellite. Tu vas donc demander à tes équipes de préparer ces tests, les réaliser. Et moi, de mon côté, je vais analyser toutes les données pour pouvoir déclarer le satellite à la fin apte au vol.
Depuis que je suis tout petit, je rêve d'espace. J'ai toujours trouvé ça exceptionnel de travailler sur des produits, je pense que Patrice c'est pareil, qui vont être à des dizaines de milliers de kilomètres de la Terre. J'ai réalisé mon rêve d'enfant, oui.
Adolescent, j'avais déjà un peu la tête dans les étoiles. Alors je rêvais un peu en classe. Je me revois encore en train de réaliser la première maquette de la navette spatiale Columbia. C'est plutôt à la fin de mes études, pendant mon stage, que j'ai vraiment mis le pied dans le monde du spatial. J'ai trouvé ma vocation. Le dernier programme sur lequel j'ai travaillé est le programme SYRACUSE 4. On va pouvoir assurer les communications entre les militaires sur un théâtre d'opération qui puisse communiquer avec la métropole en France. Donc c'est grâce à notre produit que nos militaires arrivent à s'organiser et à communiquer.
Le satellite SES-17 porte 3 innovations majeures. Qui dit innovation dans le spatial, je pense que Patrice sera d'accord. Innovation dans le spatial, c'est toujours difficile. Quand on justifie que le satellite va bien fonctionner, on justifie qu'il va bien fonctionner pendant 15 ans dans l'espace sans que personne ne puisse le réparer. Donc dès qu'on met une innovation, ça veut dire que personne n'a jamais utilisé le système nouveau. Et donc on doit démontrer tant bien que mal que tout va bien se passer.
SYRACUSE 4, c'est très récent. J'ai passé un mois en campagne à Kourou, sans le savoir, dans ma chambre d'hôtel. J'ai vécu pendant 15 jours avec une araignée la plus dangereuse au monde. Voilà, on vit dangereusement dans ce métier aussi. Je pensais être dans ma petite chambre climatisée et en fait non, je vivais avec un monstre.
C'était sur SES-17. Je me souviens que c'était un vendredi où c'était une période difficile où l'équipe était fatiguée, etc. On a eu un problème particulièrement contraignant à gérer sur le satellite. Étant donné que c'était le vendredi après-midi, je m'attendais vraiment à ce qu'on soit quand même peu à devoir résoudre le problème. Je me souviendrai toujours du moment où en fait j'ai vu tout le monde en salle blanche, des gens qui n'étaient pas du tout censés être là, venir prêter main forte au reste de l'équipe. Je me souviens du feeling que j'ai ressenti en me disant cette équipe est géniale parce que c'est ce genre de choses qui a fait la différence sur le satellite et c'est une des raisons pour lesquelles on devrait lancer la fusée à l'heure avec SYRACUSE. Moi, je suis sûr que c'est un métier qui a de l'avenir parce que quand on se sert de satellite pour mieux naviguer sur la Terre, quand on est dans la voiture et qu'on sait où est-ce qu'on va, c'est de temps en temps grâce à des satellites. Je le précise, le motto de Thales Arainespace, c'est Space for Life. Le message qu'il y a derrière, c'est clairement que il y a énormément de choses dans l'espace qui nous servent à la vie de tous les jours. Clairement, ça a de l'avenir.
On le voit dans les actualités, hein. On veut retourner sur la Lune, et puis demain à Mars, ça fera toujours rêver, et moi je continuerai toujours à rêver.
They have what you might call a dream job. Certainly, these are the jobs of the future. That's the message we get from this report. But meanwhile, the rocket is continuing its trajectory. We now have confirmation from the DDO that the launch has established contact with Libreville. Can you confirm that to me, David?
Yes, that's right. Yes, everything is going as expected. We are getting closer to the end of the upper stage propulsive phase.
So this Ariane 5 flight with these 2 Thales Arainespace satellites aboard is a unique moment for the leader in satellite systems. Hervé Derey, CEO of the French company, is going to explain to us why. Let's take a look at this new report we have to offer you, open source, with the CEO, Hervé Derey. Pardon.
On monte tout en haut de la tour, on a rendez-vous avec Hervé Derey, il est CEO de Thales Arainespace et il va nous parler des 2 satellites qui sont à bord ce soir. Bonjour, on est chez Thales Arainespace. Est-ce que vous pouvez nous expliquer le rôle de votre entreprise?
Thales Arainespace, c'est un des grands leaders dans le domaine des systèmes satellitaires et c'est une joint venture entre 2 groupes de l'aerospace and defense, Thales d'un côté et Leonardo de l'autre. Et on est répartis sur 17 sites, principalement en Europe, mais également aux États-Unis. Mais il y a une autre joint venture qui est un peu la petite sœur de Thales Arainespace qui s'appelle Telespazio, qui elle est focalisée sur les services. En fait, la combinaison des deux forme ce qu'on appelle la Space Alliance, et ce qui nous permet en fait de répondre aux besoins croissants dans le domaine des applications des systèmes satellitaires, et donc d'accompagner nos clients avec la combinaison de ces 2 offres, systèmes satellitaires et services. Et en fait, ces systèmes, ils contribuent à la vie de tous les jours et ils préparent l'avenir.
On est là ce soir pour parler du lancement VA255. Est-ce que vous pouvez nous expliquer pourquoi c'est un lancement important pour Thales Arainespace?
Dans la vie d'un satellite ou dans la vie de son développement, le lancement est toujours un moment absolument exceptionnel. Alors quand vous avez 2 satellites sur le même lancement, et donc ils vont partir avec la même fusée Ariane, c'est plus un moment exceptionnel, c'est vraiment une période absolument fantastique. Donc on est dans ce moment vraiment unique pour nos équipes, et on est évidemment impatient de voir ce lancement s'effectuer.
Donc ce soir, il y a 2 passagers à bord. Il y a notamment SES-17, satellite de communication. Est-ce que vous pouvez nous dire un mot sur les défis techniques dans la construction de ce satellite?
Alors ce satellite, SES-17, c'est finalement le programme le plus ambitieux de Thales Arainespace dans le domaine des satellites géostationnaires depuis quelques années. Pourquoi il est très ambitieux? D'abord, en commençant par la plateforme. Donc, c'est une plateforme qu'on appelle Space Bus Neo dans notre jargon interne. Et c'est une plateforme entièrement électrique. Alors, au passage, d'ailleurs, c'est la même plateforme qui est utilisée aussi sur SYRACUSE 4 et qui permet d'emporter avec elle une charge utile, donc la charge qui vraiment prend en compte la mission de télécommunication, ultra capacitive. Donc il va avoir une très grosse performance et vous pouvoir offrir des très grands débits. Si on avait utilisé des technos anciennes, il aurait fallu plusieurs satellites et plusieurs lancements pour réaliser une mission complètement équivalente.
On parle de quelle technologie? De la propulsion?
Alors on parle effectivement de la propulsion électrique qui permet d'économiser de la masse pour l'ensemble du satellite. Et la masse qu'on a réussi à économiser, eh bien, ça permet de faire une charge utile plus grosse, plus capacitive et qui a ce niveau de performance totalement inégalé. Et d'ailleurs, en fait, un des utilisateurs ou une des applications clés de ce satellite, ça va être les communications à bord des avions de ligne. Et justement, nos collègues de Thales Avionics vont pouvoir offrir un service exceptionnel à partir de ce satellite qui s'appelle Flight Live by Thales et qui offrira à bord des avions, donc non seulement, on va dire, l'entertainment à bord, comme on a l'habitude de voir, les images ou les vidéos, mais également une communication comme si vous étiez à terre, comme si vous étiez dans votre bureau ou chez vous.
Donc on parle de satellites, c'est des choses qui pour le commun des mortels peuvent paraître, des technologies qui peuvent paraître très loin de nous, alors qu'en fin de compte, c'est je vais pouvoir utiliser mon téléphone dans l'avion demain grâce aux satellites que vous envoyez.
Absolument, c'est exactement ça.
En quoi, aujourd'hui, Thales Arainespace est devenu un acteur incontournable en matière de satellites de télécommunications commerciaux? Depuis
plus de 30 ans, en fait, Thales Arainespace est dans le trio de tête des constructeurs qui proposent des satellites géostationnaires. Alors, au-delà de ça, donc, il n'y a pas que les satellites géostationnaires dans les télécoms, il y a aussi ce fameux sujet des constellations dont on parle énormément en ce moment. Et Thales Arainespace est vraiment, je dirais, aujourd'hui l'acteur industriel majeur de ce domaine, puisque c'est nous qui avons réalisé toutes les constellations de communication qui sont en service commercial aujourd'hui. Et puis on est présent dans le domaine des satellites de communication militaire. Donc là, c'est vraiment à des fins de communication ultra sécurisées sur le champ de bataille. Et on est en particulier le partenaire de référence à la fois en France, mais également en Italie.
Donc ça nous emmène naturellement sur le projet SYRACUSE, le deuxième passager qui sera à bord ce soir, SYRACUSE 4A. Quels ont été les défis dans la construction de ce satellite ?
Alors, un des premiers défis, c'est que SYRACUSE 4A remplace son prédécesseur, qui s'appelait SYRACUSE 3, ça paraît assez logique, mais on doit assurer une compatibilité complète entre les deux systèmes. Et ça, c'était un premier niveau de défi. L'autre point, c'est qu'on parle de satellites militaires, et donc ces satellites sont exposés ou doivent être capables de faire face à des menaces de toutes sortes, y compris une menace type nucléaire, mais également des menaces en matière de cybersécurité ou de cyberattaque. Et donc à ce titre, SYRACUSE 4A est un satellite hyper résilient contre ces menaces de cyberattaque. On bénéficie, je dirais, de la très grande compétence de Thales dans le domaine de la cyber qu'on applique à ce satellite SYRACUSE 4A. On a un défi autour de la souveraineté, c'est-à-dire qu'il faut faire un satellite de manière autonome en utilisant les industriels et les technologies françaises.
Juste avant de regarder le départ de la fusée, le décollage, un petit mot sur le futur, les projets, les grands projets à venir de Thales Arainespace.
Les équipes de Thales Arainespace sont extrêmement fières de travailler sur des objets de très haute technologie. Elles cherchent, je dirais, à toujours repousser les frontières du possible, les frontières technologiques en matière d'innovation. Et c'est ce qu'on fait en ce moment en travaillant sur les satellites de nouvelle génération, en préparant l'avenir, que ce soit dans le domaine civil qu'on a couvert aujourd'hui, mais également dans le domaine de la défense.
Merci beaucoup.
Merci à vous.
During this report, Hervé Derry talks to us a lot about sovereignty. Well, it's a term that we hear more and more in the field of energy and data storage. Control of space is also a sovereignty issue for France's defence and national security. Free access to and use of outer space are conditions for the country's strategic autonomy. Whether for communication, navigation, observation, identification, or information, space capabilities are necessary for the preparation and conduct of all military operations. But we also know that space has become an increasingly militarized scene of confrontation. What with jamming and espionage are developing, and the democratization of access to space is making it a source of rivalry between many state and non-state players, both historical and emerging. So in order to move forward, a new armament program called Mastering Space has been launched. It is made up of two components, surveillance and active defense. France's goal is to better monitor its satellites, and in the event of a hostile act, to respond in an appropriate and proportionate manner in accordance with the principles of international law. But then, hey, let's get back to Ariane 5. The launcher left Kourou more than 20 minutes ago, and during our report, the DD announced what? What did he announce, David? Can you tell us?
Yeah, so he announced several things, the acquisition of the ground station in Malindi, but also, and more importantly, the shutdown of the upper stage engine, so the launcher has now reached the targeted orbit, and we are now going into the next phases to prepare the separation of SES.
Next phase, then.
Yes, the next phase, as you see in the images, the launcher is moving around, turning around to put SES-17 in the right position for its separation. This separation.
So we have engine shut down now. We are waiting for the separation of the SES-17 first, then the Silda, and then the the second satellite.
Driven by a powerful fifth generation digital processor, the DDP, will be able to process 100 times more data than the previous generation, and will enable governments to accelerate their policies to reduce the digital divide in America. So just before the launch of this satellite, which is the 164th satellite designed by Thales Arainespace and launched by Arainespace, the DDO should also announce the loss of Libreville. Can you explain?
Yes, we are now, as you see in the map.
I'm looking up now on the right. Yeah.
In the map, we see that we have traveled across Africa, and we are continuing into the Indian Ocean, and therefore, yes, we have lost the Libreville station, which is on the west coast of Africa.
It's incredible all the journey Ariane 5 has done. So we're waiting for the separation of SES-17, and what does this step represent for all the teams? This must be another crucial phase for your client.
Yes, this is a quite intense moment. The separation is a very important milestone for SES and for Thales Arainespace teams, of course, and also for us at Arainespace.
It is the culmination, David, of how many years of work?
Well, it's the result of many years of studies, manufacturing, integration, and tests for each one of these satellites. And for us, on the launcher side, we have also performed analysis during several years to define and validate the mission and to prepare all the details.
So, David, in less than 10 seconds, we're going to see the separation of SES-17, which we've all been waiting for. You can see everybody waiting with bated breath in the fishbowl, in the control center, Jupiter's control center. Here we go. You can see it now coming up on the screen, David.
Right, yes, we have.
Séparation du satellite SES-17.
We have the confirmation now.
Brilliant. That is brilliant news. Everyone's looking very smiley behind their masks. So that's the news. What is the news then? We've got the separation is confirmed.
Now
That's
waiting
correct.
for
And
Silda
so
separation.
Our customers, SES and Thales Alenia, will very soon be in contact with the satellite, and they will start the orbital maneuvers as soon as possible.
We already noticed in the
Since now this mission will be successful for sure. So yeah, JWST is next, and Ariane 5 is fully ready. Take that $1 billion space telescope to the intended Lagrange point.
As I said, the teams will establish contact with the satellite within 30 minutes and will start deploying the large solar panels of SES-17. And in the coming hours, the plasma engines will be ignited to start climbing to the final orbit.
What are the next phases? Can you talk to us about that? What will you be looking forward to?
Yeah, so right now, as you see in the image to the right, there is the main stage, the upper stage, and then the SILDA, the double launch structure that is still covering the lower passenger, Syracuse 4A. So in the coming minutes, there will be maneuvers that will be performed to separate the SILDA structure prior to the separation of the Syracuse satellite.
So what kind of speed is it going at now?
Well, right now, as you see down in the screen, we're at a speed of 8.5 kilometers per second, and we are climbing up. The altitude is increasing rapidly. As you can see, we are right now at 7.
Yeah, how far is it climbing? How quickly?
Well, you can see that basically it's going up by a few kilometers per second. As you can see on the right, we are right now at 1,830 kilometers and going up fast, yes.
So whereabouts are we? If we look back on the map, we are now
if we look at
still
the map,
over the Indian Ocean.
Right, we are on the Indian Ocean, and what we mentioned before, as you can see in the simulation, we are now, the sun is rising in the Indian Ocean, which means that the satellites will be able to get sunlight very quickly.
Which was important as an important factor, which is why we have launched off so late tonight. Can you tell us that?
That's correct. That's correct. That's the reason we launched late, so they could have sunlight very quickly after their release from the launcher.
Well, I think we're close to sunlight here in Paris in over 2 hours. It's 4:42 here in Paris. It's quite late here. And we're now waiting for, well, the SILDA separation and also the separation of our satellite Syracuse 4A, which we'll be looking forward to, because that will, once that happens, what happens?
Yes, once, of course, once the second satellite is separated, then the upper stage will begin its passivation and its end-of-life maneuvers to make it come back down as much as possible and reduce the lifetime in orbit.
So, for example, when we're in the Jupiter control room, what are we feeling at this moment? You know, it's still obviously very, very tense.
Yes, that's right. For the first customer, SES 17, I would say,
for the customers, yes,
they're a bit relieved because the separation has taken place. But of course, for the second ones, they are still waiting for these important moments, which are the separation.
A lot of people are rubbing their foreheads.
Yes, is waiting patiently for the last events to take place. Yes.
So who are we seeing now on
So
the screen?
here we have some customer representatives from Syracuse 4A. We have...
How can you recognize them?
Well, usually they have, you can see the small labels in front.
Okay.
Yes, and their logos.
They all seem to be
here we have
down.
the mission directors, Thierry Fahem and Christophe Besnard, who are the mission directors who are the Arianespace representatives for these two satellites, together with the satellite customers next to them.
They seem to be looking up. They're looking up at the screen, obviously.
Yes, they are following the last moments. Here we have some other customer representatives.
This was the amphitheater we talked about earlier, was it not?
That's correct, yes.
So there's a huge screen in front of them. They're watching the images live.
That's correct.
Everyone looks very, very serious and very, very focused.
Yes, and we should have the separation of the SILDA structure coming up in...
The DDO, will he be telling us that?
In less than 1 minute, yes. We will indeed get the confirmation from the DDO in around 40 seconds.
Around 40 seconds. So we can still see the launcher carrying on its trajectory.
Yes, we can see the SILDA structure, the black structure on top of the stage.
Great it is we did have that green panel tonight after that little worry before with the red.
Yes.
We see the sun coming up. So where are we? We're still above the Indian Ocean. So now,
yes, we have
36 minutes and 21 seconds. We should be getting the, oh, here we go.
Right.
David, what is happening?
There we go. We have now the confirmation of the separation of the structure, of the Silda structure,
Okay.
yes.
So can you remind us of the function of this important element in the Ariane 5 fairing?
Yes, it's indeed a very important structure that allows to do these launches with two customers at the same time. It's a carbon fiber structure, a very strong structure. Its weight is less than 450 kilos, but it can withstand loads of more than 20 tons. So it's a very efficient, very strong structure.
So do you have any further information from the CVI? Obviously, tension has not yet subsided. Can you explain to us why?
Well, it's again because we are still waiting for the last separation. Everything is moving forward as expected.
Very good news.
Yes, very good news. And as you see, we are now turning. The launcher is turning to put Syracuse 4A in the right position for its separation.
So we've been together on road to space for just over an hour now. In a few minutes, the Ariane 5 launcher will be separating from the second satellite, Syracuse 4A, and put into orbit. This separation will mean that all the teams can, I imagine, finally celebrate the end of the mission and relax. What do you think, David?
Yes, that's right, yes.
And are all separations the same, or do they have their own specificities and challenges? They're obviously not all identical.
No, you're right, Emma. Each separation is a bit different. We have the separation has been analyzed precisely to put the satellite in the required orientation. We got the confirmation that the right orientation has been reached, and therefore we should have a separation in a few seconds.
The DDO, sorry to interrupt you, in 10 seconds, sorry, we're going to be announcing, the DDO is going to be announcing the separation of Syracuse 4A, which is obviously a crucial moment.
That's right, yes.
Here we go. It looks like it's separating.
Yes, we have.
Séparation Syracuse 4A. En attente des acquisitions satellites.
Applauses. We can hear the applauses in the Jupiter control room. That's fantastic.
And finally, guys, mission accomplished. You can say that.
Thank you, David, so much for that.
Whoa, this was a good journey.
All around. They must be very, very relieved.
That's right.
And so now their life, satellite's life, begins in space.
That's correct. The launcher has finished its job. It's up to the satellites now.
It's up to the satellites now. Well, we're now going to be linking up soon. We're going to be connecting with Stefan Israel. We can't wait to hear his first reactions. He must be so relieved that the launch has been a success. And of course, my colleague Baptiste, he will be interviewing him, and I will be interpreting in English for all our English language audiences. And I'd like to thank everybody who stayed up so late to be with us. It's now 10 to 5 Paris time. I imagine in London, 10 to 4, and in Kourou, well, it's late. But David, a last word before we hear Stefan Israel?
Well, no, thank you, Emma, for inviting me tonight, and it's been a pleasure.
Helping. Thank you for explaining everything to us so wonderfully, and for living and experiencing the launch. As I said, in a minute, we will be linking up with Stéphane Israël. We're just waiting. Obviously.
So now all the, yeah, it's just all the satellite teams are now establishing contact with their satellites from their ground stations, the satellite ground stations. And yes, you see in the picture some of the customers from SES, and they are indeed.
So how long will they be staying there? Will they be staying there in the control room for quite a while?
No, usually they should have the confirmation from their ground stations within a few minutes, maybe up to half an hour at the latest. So there's
quite a lot of people in the amphitheater tonight.
Yes.
But no one's allowed to move. What are they waiting for?
Well, they're waiting again for the satellites, the customers to confirm that they have established a contact with their satellites.
How long does it take normally?
It's a matter of minutes, a few minutes.
And how will we know? Will we see just suddenly?
I'm sure we'll get the information, and you will probably see people starting to relax a bit more.
I've just heard that Stéphane Israël is just putting on a microphone, and so we're waiting to have a last chat with him. He must, as I said, be very relieved that this launch has been such a success after, as we remember, David, the red coming up on the green panel. Thirsty work. So, as I say, we are still now waiting. And they are still waiting in the Jupiter control room.
That's right.
Waiting to get the okay from the clients.
Yes.
So tonight, I'd like to remind you that we've beaten a record. How many records? 3 records tonight.
Yes, that's right. 3 records. We had the heaviest satellites on board with more than 10.2 tons. We also had the heaviest overall launcher performance, more than 11.2 tons, and the tallest.
That was really a first. That was incredible.
The tallest launcher, the tallest Ariane 5 launcher we've ever launched. And you see here.
So here we are. Here we see the images of the launch, which broke 3 records tonight, which David has just been explaining to us what records were broken. The tallest launcher.
The tallest
going to
launcher.
Space. The heaviest.
The tallest Ariane 5.
Ariane 5.
Yes.
That is quite remarkable. While we're watching these images, we're just waiting to have Stéphane Israël. As I said, we'll be talking to my colleague Baptiste, and I will be translating to English because obviously he is French. But look at those images. That was something very dramatic.
Yes.
What do you feel every time you see that? I was... here we are, back again. Into the Jupiter control room. Am I wrong when I say it's the fishbowl, or is it just...
Yes, that's how we usually call it.
That's how you call it.
Yeah.
Here we are. Here we are. So, good evening.
Oui, bonsoir, rebonsoir, plus exactement. Bonjour.
We have just seen the smiles all around the control room, Stéphane. Of a big success tonight.
Oui, enfin un succès surtout pour nos clients, pour SES et pour le ministère des Armées, puisque leurs satellites.
Yeah, well, we're closing the chapter of a long journey that has led us up to this precise moment. It has taken several years of work to prepare this launch, and I would like to thank all the people who made it a success. In the last few minutes before liftoff, all eyes were fixed on the launcher, but we mustn't forget that the launch is above all the result of teamwork, of dedicated and passionate people. I would therefore like to thank the teams from Arainespace, Ariane Group, Arainespace, SES and the French Ministry of Armed Forces, and especially the French General Armament Directorate. And of course, without forgetting all the team ESAs and CNES.
Oui, absolument. Donc, on a
And now Stefan is now talking about the next launches. He's talking about the next launch will be the James Webb launch, Liftoff, the Vega launch, and on the 18th of December, the James Webb launch. Of course, we will be there. We'll be following that launch closely in a couple of months' time. Well, that's a wrap from Kourou. Thank you, Stefan. Well done to the teams involved. And thank you so much, David, for being with me here in Paris this morning. Well, it's time to say goodbye from both of us. We'll see you again shortly on the next Road to Space. Bye-bye.
Bye, thank you.
Okay, so guys, here you have it. We just saw the successful launch of Ariane 5 with its modified configuration, and this was the final launch before JWST launches. So let's relive this moment. Okay, so I guess that's it. And hi Satish, hi Stefan. So I guess you liked the stream today. Yeah, I know there was some sort of glitch when they did a hold just before 7 minutes until liftoff, because they had some odd readings in cryo tanks, and they resolved it, and finally we saw a beautiful liftoff. Since now this was a successful one, everything was successful. It was like 100% success. So JWST is waiting now. It must be confident that, yeah, no matter what, at least the rocket will not do anything bad. So I think, guys, that's it for today, and I hope you liked the stream. If you did, give it a thumbs up, subscribe, because next launch coming up would be the Japanese one, and I hope I'll be able to just a sec. Yeah, I hope I'll be able to stream that too, and explain each and everything. And we know how the rare JAXA launches are. So do join me for that. And until then, this is Priyanshu Roila. You just saw Rocket Gyan. Stay safe, stay healthy, and bye.